Do we need to share now?
Well,
Hey,
just give it 2 seconds. You saw it already, Bakar?
I see we're live. What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. We got the live started. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up, and we're gonna kick off episode 3 in just a little bit.
Yeah, y'all go ahead and share. Y'all go ahead and share. Y'all go to my page and share. We about to get started. Take a second to do that. If you are just joining us live on Facebook, we are about to kick off our 3rd episode of our story, our journey, our way. We are sharing out right now, so just give us about 45 seconds for us to share this out, and then we're gonna get this pop.
And Maurice, if you could remove that O in anxiety, we'll be all straight.
Oh. Bro, you do something. Hold on.
It's all good.
I don't see how to change it. That's gonna have to stay in there, bro. That's gonna have to stay in there.
Hit the 3 dots.
No, it's not working like that. Here we go. I found it. It's live. It's somewhere else. All right, go.
Wait a minute.
Welcome back.
Alright.
Yeah, that beat's rocking.
Everybody shared it out already?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I'm gonna cut the music off. We're gonna turn this thing over to you. There it is. Just want to give y'all a bit of music to listen to get started with.
Good evening. And it's good evening. Unless you're on the other side of the world, good morning. And welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. I'm here with my co-host. Well, first, my name is Bakar Bey. I'm here with my co-host Maurice and my
That's
Gita.
me.
What up?
And this is episode 3 of Our Story, Our Journey, Our Way. Like I said, I'm with a few people tonight who, as I say, I know they all can drop the mic. And we're gonna get you a full show today. For the next hour or so.
Excited tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For the next hour, man, we're gonna be talking a little bit about this month. If you didn't know, Mental Health Awareness Month, right? So we got a special guest in here tonight who brings a lot more expertise to the table. Is a staple in our community here in Richmond, Virginia. Somebody that we all admire and respect. Also an artist, poet. Just phenomenal talent and recognizes top 30, top 40, under 40 by Style Magazine. Okay. Our sister, Z Bey, Zenobia. How you doing tonight? There we go.
Yeah, I got you.
I like it. Keep it.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank y'all for having me. Absolutely. So like I said, I know everybody here can drop the mic. So, last week we did an episode, or a couple weeks ago, we did an episode about, being authentically yourself, authentic attraction. And I just want to start off with a couple of highlights from last time, man. We keep the energy high, keep things moving. Majida, she dropped the mic on this last week. Maurice, you say you had that drop the mic moment. What was it Majida said last week or the last time we were together?
Well, for me, hey, what's up, everybody on Facebook? Appreciate y'all tuning in. For me, the Majita's drop the mic moment. Well, for me, the drop the mic moment last week was when Majida said something to the effect of, she said, I got to work on me, so it'll show up in my business. That sounds small, but that was huge. That was huge for me. I got to work on me, and if I do, I know it'll show up in my business. So I know a lot of the times, man, I'm working on my business and things ain't going right. And sometimes we can forget about working on ourselves. So when she said that, I got little goose pimples on my arms when she said that. So appreciate you,
awesome.
G.
Awesome.
I need you to wake up though, G.
I'm awake. I promise.
I promise you. That's gonna tie into what we touched tonight, man. My drop the dropped the mic moment last week was just Maurice. We had my brother Mental on, and he was just talking about being a creative individual, how inspiring that was. And Maurice just said, man, creative people are attractive. I mean, that's just something that struck me like, man, he's absolutely right. You know, anybody who's out there creating and doing something, I think is ultimately attractive. It's something that I walked away with last week, as well as a quote. He also threw out a quote there about Bill Cosby. He said that the way to fail is to try to please everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The way to fail is to try to please everyone. And I think that's one of those things that can really, really get in your head. You know what I mean? So we're going to be talking a little bit tonight about being in your head, about mental health, about, you know, just try to break down some of the stigma, right? Because
Absolutely.
ask y'all, how many of y'all feel like mental health is just like one of those scary, taboo kind of topics, or at least before at some point felt like, man, that's just not something that we're going to talk about, you know, whether it's in the family or in the home. Anybody out there feel like that, or just me?
I never felt that way. If you watching right now, if you watching live on Facebook, if you've always been the type to kind of shy away from the subject of mental health, just one of those things that you just don't talk about too much. I know that's a lot of people. Drop it down in the comments. You know, drop a me down in the comments. If that's one of those things that always kind of seem one of those subjects you don't really talk about. But to me, now it don't seem like a big scary subject to me. It seems like something very practical that that everybody, you know, mental health. Like that's a wide topic right there. Having a healthy mind. So I'm not scared of that topic right there.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And I know that there are people out there who definitely feel that way. Because I was one of those who didn't see it as much of an issue before. Like it was just something I expected, you know, to be mentally healthy. But you know, life has definitely taught me some different lessons. And so, Z, you know, I want to bring you in a little bit, and let's just introduce yourself, you know, to the audience. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got on the journey toward being, you know, such a prominent mental health professional. How'd you get into that?
Oh man, it started. I could go so many directions. I started doing some work in Bon Air when I got back from the military, like 2012. And so working in the correctional system, I started seeing, you know, just behaviors and just different things from a judicial standpoint. And then I started doing stuff in the group home. Child care supervisor, working with youth between the ages of like 14 to 18, you know, that was in foster care, that was removed from the home for whatever type reason. And they had to be placed, you know, in the foster care system. And so I seen it from that perspective. Then I went back to school and started learning from a psychological perspective because I went back and got my master's in professional counseling. Then I started doing counseling work and started seeing things in the home, family dynamics, certain patterns of behavior, certain things that I thought was just normal, but it's really not healthy. You know what I mean? Because you're seeing it from a different perspective, and that's not in your dynamics. But you're like, hold on, that's what my family does, or that's, you know. So you started, like you said, looking at yourself, and you start looking at just how the mind and thought pattern affect behaviors. And so now, when you start thinking about the thought pattern and mind, now you talk about the mental, because now that affects behavior. So when you see people doing certain things, you look at the patterns of behaviors, and that's how you become, you know, with the diagnosis and, you know, all the different type of disorders. And so it just became interesting. And, you know, I like people. I like helping people. And so I think the best way to help people is to understand yourself first. And then, you know, you can understand other people because you have a sense of compassion.
That's good stuff.
That's good
stuff.
She said a mouthful there, right? I'm gonna have to do a quick retell. You talked about, you know, what you observed, you know, in a couple of different environments, what seemed normal and what seemed healthy. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how I think a lot of people probably maybe don't have a good reading on what's normal, what's a healthy, you know, state for mental health. You know, we could all typically take a look at somebody physically and maybe make some judgments, you know, a little easier, but not always right, not always true. But when it comes to mental health, you know, like what does normal look like? What does normal feel like? How would you describe normal health? What would help us out with that? What's a healthy mind look like? If you could put a picture to it.
I mean, just what brings peace, what brings a sense of when we say normalcy, like just what doesn't bring distress. And so, if anything that's not bringing distress or it's not bringing peace, then it's kind of like not normal to the body, to the central nervous system, because our body should not be just always responding to stress. So you talk about normal, you talk about, okay, what daily routines or daily patterns or things that we should do every day to bring a sense of calm and normalcy. So the first thing is, definitely hygiene, diet, sleep. You go to the doctor, the first thing they ask you, okay, what's going on? How you sleeping? How you eating? You think about harming yourself or somebody else? They ask those questions because those are the physical or mental health questions that can kind of give like an assessment of what's going on. So if somebody said they're not eating, or somebody said they're not sleeping, or somebody said they always irritated and having headaches, then that's not a good sign of mental health.
Yeah. Can I chime in?
Man.
Can I chime in a little
absolutely,
bit on this,
all day. I'm not running it.
Absolutely, bro. Family, whoever, if you're watching this broadcast right now, one of the reasons why I was excited to do this show, to talk about this mental health thing, is because I imagine at the end of 2019, if you were like me and all of us, right, you probably had high hopes for 2020, right? It's probably like, man, 2019 is about to be out and 2020 about to come in, and this is about to be my year. And I'm sure everybody can agree that 2020 has thrown all of us some unexpected things, right? So many things that change the landscape so far in 2020 to kind of throw things into a state of uncertainty, right? And so my personal perspective on that is, I was listening to a video the other day that was talking about caffeine, and I just want to give y'all a little bit of backdrop on why we wanted to do this show. I was listening to a YouTube video talking about caffeine and the effects of caffeine, and I drink a lot of coffee, right? And the guy that was talking on the YouTube video was he also mentioned anxiety, right? And so when he mentioned anxiety, I actually, I got to thinking, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really know what that word means. I know what I think it means. And so I looked up what the word anxiety means, and I think this kind of gets into what you discussed earlier, Bakar. People have a certain perspective about that term mental health, and I think people have a certain perspective about that term anxiety as well. I always thought about, when I think about anxiety, I thought about people having panic attacks before they go on stage to speak, or somebody freaking out or something like that. That's kind of how I always thought about anxiety, right? But I started looking at some information and reading up some definitions and looking at some videos on generalized anxiety. And after, I got a video I want to play for us real quick, for everybody that's watching this live broadcast right now. And so I want you just to take a second, everybody that's watching, just to get a pen and a piece of paper, or a pencil and a piece of paper, because I want you to jot down some things about this video that I'm going to play. But anyway, I'm watching this video, and this video is sharing what it calls basically how you can know that you may be dealing with anxiety. And I never have seen myself as being someone who has to deal with anxiety. But after watching this video, I'm thinking, I'm like, maybe I am dealing with a bit of anxiety. So the stuff that this video is going to go through is, it's basically, some hidden signs maybe that you may be dealing with anxiety. And another reason why I wanted to talk about this is because, like I said, with the quarantine and everything, to me, if you're not feeling some sort of anxiety or worry or apprehension, like, you got to be a tough cookie to not feel that. You know what I mean? So on one note, like I said, I've never seen myself as somebody that's dealing with anxiety, but I do know that I feel a certain amount of uncertainty and concern and worry in regards to the future. And after listening to this video, I'm like, is this just general concern and worry, or is this possibly an anxiety disorder? So I'm gonna play this video real quick for all of us. It's only 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So, and what I want y'all to do, this person is gonna ask us, he's gonna go through, some symptoms of how you can know that maybe you may be dealing with an anxiety disorder. With that pen and that piece of paper that you pulled out, I want you to write down how many of these symptoms that he give, like score them on a scale of 1 to 10. Like 10 being okay, this is me. Yeah, I'm guilty of this one right here. And 1 being, this is not me at all. And a 5 being, so. And I want you to keep track of how many you get a 5 or a better on. I know for me, when I started watching this, I'm like guilty as heck in almost all of these categories that he's gonna talk about. So I'm gonna play this real quick and then we're gonna talk about it. All right.
All right.
I gotta make sure y'all can hear this. You don't need to see it, but I do need to make sure you can hear it. So tell me if you can hear this or not.
This is Tristan here, and welcome to the Improvement Path channel.
Can y'all hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it.
In this video, I'm going to give you 9 hidden signs that you might be suffering from a general anxiety disorder that you don't even know of. Millions of people worldwide are diagnosed with GAD, but there are so many more out there who don't even know they suffer from it. They are unaware that their inner tension and unease has a name, and that they can actually do something about it. GAD is much more than just worries you might have before a big presentation you must give in front of your colleagues or classmates. It is more like constant, uncontrollable anguish that interferes with your life. So here is my list of 9 points that show how people with this disorder might behave differently. Number 1, they do not seize opportunities. Because people with GAD often do not believe in themselves and underestimate their capabilities, they let great opportunities slip away. The negative thoughts overshadow the potential benefits for even the easiest decisions. As your subconscious is wired so pessimistically, it convinces oneself not to take any chances. Number 2, they interpret too much into what other people say. People with GAD often read too much into things, and especially what people say. A simple comment can haunt them for hours and days. They might be trying to analyze the words exactly and figure out any hidden message. Number 3, every day they struggle to go to work or to school. The most simplest and routine tasks they might have been doing for years now suddenly become so excruciating and exhausting. 4, they get nervous if somebody does not reply to messages immediately. Instantly, thoughts like, did I say something wrong? Was I too straightforward? Or, I wish I could delete this message arise. Number 5, they need their smartphone. They use their smartphone as an escape for a potentially uncomfortable situation. Let's say you are waiting for your train going home. Seeing all the busy and occupied people around you makes you nervous, so you grab that smartphone just to be engaged in something. Just standing there and not doing anything stresses out people with general anxiety. Number 6, GAD sufferers need to control and review things again and again. They are extremely worried about doing something wrong, so that they can't leave anything to chance. This can be shown by the need to review your work plenty of times before you can submit it to your boss. It can even get so severe that you develop neurosis, like the need to check if you have turned off that stove over and over again, just in case. 7, they lose a lot of their social connections and friends. People with GAD might start isolating themselves because the worries just become so overwhelming. They can be so distracted by their worries, they forget about everything else around them. 8, they can get very clingy. They need and love their partner more than anything else, but their insecurities can lead them to bombard their partner with questions and messages. They are just too worried about their partner or relationship status. 9, they do not stick to their plans. People with GAD always have the need to question and review everything. They will very often find a reason why their plan was not good after all and don't go along with it. When you yourself suffer from GAD.
All right, that's it. That was the end right there. It was 9 of them. Did y'all hear that? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. So like I said, man, I have never seen myself as a person that has been dealing with anxiety. But as I'm looking at that video, I'm guilty on several of those things. How did y'all do on those? Majida, you sitting there looking like, nah, that don't have nothing to do with me.
No, I was writing down my numbers. So probably like I think in different phases of my life, I've had higher levels of anxiety. So like maybe at present, I'm not experiencing as high of a level of anxiety as I did during a certain period of my life. Like there was a period where I did kind of withdraw from like everything because I was just overwhelmed by everything that was going on. But like I'm not in that space right now. But generally speaking, like the comment about the cell phone, I don't, yeah, like I didn't realize, I guess, that like the need to always engage or feel connected to people, and maybe more so now because of the environment. There's like this the only way I can connect with people is virtually, but at the same time, even before this quarantine, um, I think a lot of people have an attachment to this device that we carry in our pockets or in our purses, and it's that need to to be connected. So yeah, I'm definitely guilty of quite a few of them. Some kind of mildly, others a little more so, but and then some not so much.
Yeah.
Or situationally, like some of the ones that are low situationally, they may be higher depending on what I'm experiencing just in life. But yeah.
How about you, Bakar? How did you make out on that?
I said 3 out of 9 with 2 possibles, so 3 and 2 possibles.
We are not playing spades here.
Oh man, always looking at the deck. And you want to make sure you're playing with a full hand. But no, I think it was very enlightening for me as well. Anxiety is something that I know that I've dealt with because I'm highly analytical. So it can be easy for me to overanalyze things, and I couldn't help but chuckle to myself when he talked about interpreting too much into what people say. And I'm gonna put a little emphasis on that too much because I don't think I go that far, but probably I do a little more interpretation than the average person.
Yeah.
And I think both of y'all would nod your head like, yo, you read way too deep into that. I'm like,
no, I'm not. I'm nodding for myself. I'm guilty of that one myself. That's why I'm nodding on that one.
A funny story, actually, I had a dream last night and told a friend about it. And a friend gave me like the psychoanalysis of the dream that for me was like, whoa, I didn't even know that you could go that deep into a dream. But what it possibly revealed about my mental health was just like, I had looked at the picture from that angle, right? I hadn't looked at all of the characters in the dream as reflections of me or parts of my, psyche. So it was one of those like, I don't even know if I want to go down that road right now, but it was interesting. It was intriguing. And could it be, like the dreams be a source of revealing anxiety? Like, just so many questions came up. So many questions. But like I said, anxiety is definitely something I know I've dealt with in various stages of my life. From just deciding, how long was it going to take me to get out of school, what kind of job or career field I wanted to do. Even now, like, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And it's like, even when you have clarity on it, there's certain things, like, especially when it comes to planning, making plans and things like that. Oh man, planning gives me all kinds of anxiety because now it's just like, okay, but how do I follow through on these plans that I can come up with? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I want to ask Zenobia, like, can you speak to that? Something that Bakar mentioned, like the willingness to go down the rabbit hole, if you will. Like, what does it take for a person to like, embrace like, I need help, like I need help dealing or coping with how I'm feeling. Because I do realize I saw a video by another local Richmond artist that he put out on Amazon Video, Traumedy. And it's like this idea that like trauma and anxiety and stress and worry is normal. And we've normalized it to where like, if you're going through stuff, that's not really a problem, right? Like it's not, it's in your head, get over it and get back to working and get back to
Work, eat, sleep.
Right. So can you speak to that? You know, like just what does it require for a person to be like to have the mindset that like I need help, like I need to go get help, you know?
Well, I think what you just said, and I think just recognizing it and embracing the fact that the mind is a part of the body that needs healing. Like that's just what it is. That's just like if you get up right now and twist your ankle, you ain't just gonna I just twist my ankle. You gonna probably prop it up. You gonna, you know what I'm saying? You gonna put some ice on it. Depending on how severe it is, you might go to the doctor.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, you know, the same thing with the mind. You know, life happens. We don't take time to tend to whatever happens, whatever event, trauma. You know, we just it just happened, but we don't take the time to realize or how that affected us mentally. And sometimes, you know, we just think it makes us weak because we're like, oh man, that's just life. Because one, you know, in the society that we live in, we're kind of taught to just deal with stuff. You know what I mean? Things are just going. You have so many things that are distracted that you really don't have time to process it, even if you wanted to. So if you're really not mindful enough to recognize the something to process and just being open to say, okay, I have somebody I can talk to. Like I see a therapist. I've seen a therapist for a while. And it's because I understand the importance of mental health, period. You know what I mean? That don't mean I have to see him every week. It depends on what's going on in life or what's going on. I may need to see him every week, you know.
I need to see one every week.
You know, I mean, it's real. There's nothing wrong with, you know, understanding. You know what I mean? That may be it. So, you know, just like some of the statistics that the person said in the video, like, you know, anxiety disorder is like one of the most common disorders, mental illness in the United States. It affects 40 million people. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of the things that like ages like 18 and up, you know, it's like 18% of the population is affected every year. So you take 18 years old, that's just 18. You know, we're not talking about anxiety in children. You know what I mean? We talking about just general anxiety in adults. But then when you talk about anxiety and how it can be recognized, you know, you just look at some of the signs like irritability, you know, some of the things like I jotted down. Well, this right here is called a DSM, right? And the DSM is pretty much what clinicians use to diagnose behaviors, mental illnesses. So right here in the general anxiety disorder, it's excessive anxiety and worry, apprehensive expectations occurring more days than not for at least 6 months. So when you're looking at diagnosing a person's behavior, you don't just say, okay, they have these certain behaviors. You look at frequency over a period of time, and you look at the intensity of it as well. So that's how you kind of assess it by like, it can either be moderate, mild, or severe. So when they talk about, you know, people that's like, you know, can't leave the house, you know, that's like it's like I can't put that's like agoraphobia. It's like a phobia where like you can't even leave the house. You have people like that. So that's definitely severe. You know what I mean? And then you have, you know, the anxiety to where like maybe every time you leave the house, you're forgetting something. You're coming in the house forgetting your keys, or because you know, a lot of people
that's an anxiety.
That could be signs
I do that every day.
because your mind, you know what I'm saying? Because your mind is not focused. You know what I'm saying? It's like a just
habitually.
Yeah, and it's just like, and so again, normalized behavior. That's just normal. I just forget my keys. Well, that's not. You know what I'm saying? Like you think about
that's
it.
Good stuff.
That's
I
not
had to have a system.
That's not a normal. Like yes, it's a normal behavior because everybody can do it, right? But if that's your constant, like when they talk about more days than not for at least 6 months. So you just think about like a 6-month time. How many times you forget your keys or forget something, you got to come back in the house. I know that's been something I've been doing since I was a daggone teenager.
I was about to say, I'm definitely guilty of that.
So
since middle school, probably.
So you just look at things like, you know, patterns of behavior.
Wow.
I know for myself, I'm just more mindful in the mornings now. Like before I leave the house, I'm more mindful. I'm just not rushing. Like it's certain things I do in the morning before I even get started. You know what I mean? Before I even leave the house, before I even answer my phone, before I even look at the phone. But I had it took work to like just realize, okay, I'm not balanced in the morning. You know what I mean? So
can you go a little deeper into that?
Huh?
Oh, not to cut you off, Z, because
No, no,
having a mental health routine like that in the morning, because I think that's one of those areas that people like. You think about your physical health, you think about your diet, but like,
Nice term.
what's a mental health routine that you
I
could
like that term.
that you keep up in the morning before you get started?
Well, the first thing I don't do is grab my phone.
She said the first thing I don't do.
Yeah. Yeah, take that in.
No,
Not grab my phone. I mean, because that's what I did do, and I noticed it was, you know, now I have not taken time to get into me. I have put myself into the whole world, what they got going on, all that energy. The next thing I know, it's about like an hour or something went by. I don't even know what I got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I realized that, that's one of the first things. Second thing is I drink some water. I use the bathroom. I say my prayers, and then I drink some tea. And then I don't look at my phone or my messages or anything until after 8 o'clock every morning. I actually sometimes have my phone on do not disturb. And then like since the quarantine, like I don't leave the house until, if I have to leave, I don't leave until after like 11, if I have to leave. So those things have just started within the last but like 3 months. You know what I mean? So just when Margita was talking about, you know, depending on the phases of what's going on in life, a good mental health approach too is knowing when you got to make those adjustments. You know what I'm saying? Knowing when, you know, it may be a period of time where you may be going through some type of, you know, grieving or trauma or something, and just knowing. I know for myself personally, around the time period of like September to like December, that's a real grieving time for me. So right around this time, I started doing a lot of like real self-work, because it's just kind of normal that around that time, you know, I deal with a lot of grief because I dealt with a lot of loss around that time, right? So if I know that, then okay, around this time going into the summer, like my spirits are like intentional to be like high, because I already know I'm gonna have those times, and I'm gonna go through those times. That's another thing about having like mental good health awareness, is when you going through it, like you got to go through it. So a lot of times we try to, no, I'm good. No, you're not good.
We try to tough it out.
Yeah, you're not good. So just go through the not being good, recognize it, and then come up out of it. That's it. And so it sounds easy saying it's it, but that's kind of like the strategy. What I mean by just working. You got to like keep working that. And a lot of times we're having good mental health is we don't stay on those tracks. And that's just with anything. You know what I mean? That's just with anything. But yeah, it takes work. It takes recognizing and realizing it's a every moment. Like when they say be mindful, people don't say be mindful for a moment, for a reason. I mean, for anything. It's just like being mindful of every moment, being mindful of where we are right now, being present. You know, the reality is there's nothing we can change right here at this moment. You know, like for example, like being glued to the phone. One of the things I had to learn was it was causing me anxiety, because I was always anticipating a client calling or missing a family member calling or something like that. But the reality is, you don't want to think like this, but the worst tragedy, reality is, what can I do right now at this moment? Nothing. You said you think about it. If somebody was to call us right now with the worst news we want to hear, there's nothing we can really do at this moment. Not to say we could keep on going on with the podcast, but like my phone was the ring right now, and it was my mom, right? And see, we got this boundary. Like if it's something you got to keep calling, but you have to call me right now, I'll decline it, because I'm present right now. But if the phone was to ring again, it's my mom, I might not decline it. I might say, hold on, y'all, because she knows and I know that if I decline or something, she know you know what I mean. But that takes work to have that communication of putting boundaries in place so you don't be worried or have anxious moments, especially for like us, you know, we're busy. So when somebody calls, we don't want to be in this general state. So when they talk about a general state of irritability, it's like a general state of anticipation. And we don't sometimes subconsciously don't even know it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like we're on edge a lot, you know what I mean? Because we're not present. We're thinking about who could call or what's going on at dinner, or did I drop this off at the post office, or did I call and make that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so just, having those practices of meditation, being mindful, it kind of helps being present in the moment, understanding I can only control what's going on right here, right now. That's it.
Yeah.
I know I find myself being on edge a lot. And I find myself being, I would say, overly fatigued, more fatigued than I should be. And again, I mean, I never thought that was just watching that video that we watched a little while ago. That's just like, man, this anxiety thing. Like I said, I always thought of it as more along the extreme cases. You were talking about mild and extreme cases. I always thought about anxiety from the extreme perspective. I just never considered it from the milder perspective of what we talking about right now. Like me and Jack Majida was having a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I let her know in one of my low moments, I said, man, I'm not feeling it today. And she was like, what's going on? And I'm like, basically, man, I don't feel it's something that I want to do that I don't feel like I can do. And she was like, what is it that you want to do that you feel like you can't do? And I'm like, you know what, G? I don't even know. I can't even answer that question. And when I said that, I said it because that's what I was thinking. And, me and her, laughed about it a little bit. But after listening to that video, it's a couple things he said in there that I'm like, is that anxiety? When I'm speaking like that, is that me at that low point? Is that how anxiety sounds? A mild form of anxiety sounds when it comes out.
Yeah, because sometimes it could come out in the form of low self-esteem. That's what and that's what borderlines with that depression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we get in those moments. I was about to read some. So they talk about like social anxiety too. So when you talk about in the realm of like wanting to do something, right? And sometimes if it's wanting to do something, it involves other people. If sometimes if it's something that we want to do, we can't see, that's another thing to control. If we can't control that situation because other people may be involved, that can bring on the social anxiety, because now you're thinking about what they talk about, like, what other people may think or how it may be perceived, and now all those thoughts in your head, which is kind of, it's normal, but when it gets to a point where it becomes obsessive, that's when it becomes not normal, right? Yeah. Because when you're working with other people and being social, you do want to think about their feelings. You do want to validate how they feel and what they're bringing to the table and how they think. But when it gets to the point where it's like obsessive, then like, I just don't even want to do it. That's when that's a form of anxiety when it comes to social. So yes, not knowing certain things, that where it becomes a depression. But at the same time, that's normal to not know, but just recognize it. But when it gets to a point where it makes you depressed and you just give up on whatever it is, then that's when it becomes like a form of anxiety, because it's impeding the everyday life function. That's when things become I guess they say a problem, or
when they start impeding everyday life functions.
Right. Or like a quality of life, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or something like that. So if a decision that somebody makes is making you feel sad or depressed to where now you're not eating, or you don't want to be involved, or you don't want to move forward, or you're low, so you know what I mean, then that's when it becomes, something to be addressed. But like you said, Maurice, it's about what form is it? Is it mild? Is it severe? Yeah.
Let me ask you a question on that, because I'm glad that you brought that point up about how something, it's pretty much normal unless it's stopping your normal daily function. That's what you said a minute ago, right? Correct, right. Z? Yeah. Right. So let me ask you this, because I read some other information that said that as well. Here's another statement that I have found myself saying more than one time, and I'm quoting myself basically. I'll say something like, you know what, man, there's so many things to worry about or to be concerned about out here, or so many things going on out here that I find it difficult to focus on being a good father or being a better husband. I find it difficult to focus when I come home in the evening on just being a father to my child, because there's so many other things to worry about. Now, again, I've made that statement several times, but I'm just thinking that's just something that just everybody is kind of dealing with, or at least a lot of us are dealing with. But now, listening to this information again, I asked that question again: is that what anxiety sounds like when it comes out? Because based on that statement, I'm letting something that's going on affect my normal daily activity.
Right. And a lot of times, again, goes back to mental health. Thoughts turn to things.
Mm-hmm.
If we keep thinking it and we're saying it, then that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And so what we have to do is change our thoughts, and then they will change the things that it's turned into. So just that statement you just said, say that statement again.
I found it difficult to, it's so different. It's so many things to be concerned with and be distracted with out here in the world now that sometimes it's difficult to just focus on being a good father or a good husband. Sometimes I feel like I can't focus on my child or my wife because there's so many other things occupying my mind.
Right. And so those factors you can't change because there is a lot of things out here, right? But how about saying, it's a lot going on. It's a lot of distractions, but I gotta find a way to become a better father, or not a better father, a good husband, however would you want to say it, because it gotta be a way. Don't that feel better? You see what I'm saying? Like if you say that, do that even feel better?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So when you say
we've
that,
had this conversation.
Yeah. So when you say that, now you tapping into the feeling, and now you're changing the vibration within yourself, and then you're going to start finding ways, because you can't change the distraction. That's true. But when you come home, and now you, like you said, now we talk about the being mindful. You home, you can't change what's going on outside. We can't change what happened 2 hours ago. We home now. And so what we have to learn to do is focus our minds to what's going on present. And that's a hard thing when you haven't been doing it. And again, you have a society got so many distractions. It's easy to, you in the home, pick up your phone, but that's why we have to have certain strategies, to say, like, that's why I say I don't pick up my phone until after 8 o'clock, because I don't want that distraction. I want to focus on what's going on in my space first before I even give that distraction, any type of attention. And then then with the practice, just like anything, being an athlete, it's muscle memory. Our brain is nothing but a muscle. So we continue to train our brain to think and have these patterns in a certain way in the midst of chaos, in the midst of whatever's going on. That's why, you see people like, yo, how are they so calm? How they able to see all this going on? Because it took practice.
Yeah.
And I'm even starting to see myself in it. Like people like, I give you an example, like my mom. I had a situation just today, this morning, and and she was reacting. I was like, Mom, you just need to relax. And I left. You know what I'm saying? To anybody else would have looked like, Dad, you being mean. No, I just can't give that my energy, because that ain't even really nothing to be upset about. You know what I'm saying? And so, but you can't change nobody else. You can't. And so now I see why, certain people, would look like, like, excuse my language, but assholes when I'm going off and snapping. And I'm like, they just so calm, because they realize, you can't feed fire with fire. And then too, if it's really nothing that you did to that person, why are you gonna allow them to bring your vibration up to that level? Yeah. But that took mindfulness, you know what I'm saying, to be present, to be like, this ain't even got nothing to do with me. And I think a lot of mine came from my clients, right? So I deal with, like, severe clients, like, schizophrenia, something that cuss you out. And daggone well, I ain't did nothing to that person, right? So it helped me build up a tolerance to be like, that don't have nothing to do with me. So now when I'm dealing with everyday people and they do whatever they do, I'm looking at them like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, at least you ain't cuss me out. You know what I mean? So it's just a different type of perception, when you learn certain things about yourself. Margita said that at the beginning, what you said, learning more about yourself, you think will help your business.
Right.
And that's true, because you are your business.
Yeah.
Wow. If y'all getting some value out of this conversation, put some ones or put some fire, put some in the chat for us, because I know I've got 2-3 pages of notes now already.
We drop my ones in my fire.
drop some fire, drop some ones in the chat.
Drop my fire right now.
I know that or maybe drop some hearts, for mental health. I don't know. Do they have a symbol? I got to figure that out.
It could be a heart.
They got the emoji with the exploding head for mental health.
that could be one too.
Oh man.
No, but this is one for me personally. This is why I love this conversation, because, again, Mental health, big scary topic. Anxiety, big scary word. But if you listen closely, what Zenobia is talking about is how to think positively. It's how to think optimistically, and that's what I like about this conversation on mental health, because it's real. It's real. It's logical. It's a logical discussion. Absolutely.
But think about it. A lot of times we don't deal in logic. What do we deal in?
Emotion. You're 100% right. More fire. More
More
fire
fire
in
in
the
the
comments. More fire.
Say, don't drop the mic quite yet. We had to pick it up about 4 or 5 more times.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
And look, go ahead, my G. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I just wanted, there's a couple things, as Maurice was sharing, and then Zenobia was responding. When she talks about awareness, I know, like, I maybe several months ago started to have like anxiety about waking up in the morning, because I felt like as soon as I waked up, the clock started, and then it was just like it wouldn't stop, until I got to bed at night, And so it was, what he talked about in the video at the beginning, where it was just like, like this, just the everyday normal routine. It's just like, if I get up, the minute I get up, I gotta make breakfast, I gotta make lunch, I gotta dress, I gotta girls dress, I gotta, all of these things. And then to add on to that, somebody's calling me early in the morning, like it's too early to be engaging and interacting with other people. Like I'm just trying to get myself out of the bed, but it took time to like realize what my triggers were and what was impacting me, to the point where it's like, all right, how can I create a routine so that I'm more at peace in the morning, or more at peace about waking up. And it's taken a while, and like literally within like the last over the last few months, and more specifically over the last couple of weeks, gotten a schedule that at least like I can like breathe, where I'm like, all right, I can work towards this routine, right? And it's not going to be perfect, but at the same time, recognizing those triggers. Even at like my job, it was just like I have to schedule time for people to like interact with me. Otherwise, like all day I could be reacting and interacting with people, and I don't get the things I want to get done, which causes more anxiety, And then it's just this snowball effect of, it's like, no, I'm gonna talk to y'all between this time and this time during the course of the day, and it keeps my mindset and gives me some peace of mind, because you don't. And I think sometimes we feel like we have to respond immediately, or we have to do something or answer somebody, and you don't. I think we were talking last week in our mastermind, the idea that allowing other people to dictate your time, and it can cause and create stress for you, but it doesn't have to. But it's being mindful enough to know that, all right, when this happens, I have this feeling, right? Like this panic attack, where I have this feeling of anxiety or stress when the phone rings. Like, why am I feeling like that? And realizing that, okay, I need to do something different so I don't feel that way. And for me, it was creating like blocks of time where I can control my engagement with people versus just being engaged at any time that they want to be engaged. Because then they're controlling my time, and I'm losing control. And so it's definitely important. And then something that Maurice said about, the idea of being present. I know for me, like that's something that I'm very, very intentional about at this moment, is like, I don't feel like I can always be present with my daughters, similarly to what Maurice said. But that's what I want to work towards. Like, I want to just be able to be at home with my daughters. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about business. I'm not thinking about, anybody else. Like, I'm just present with them. And in order to get to that point, something that he said about, even just phrasing. I read an article actually by one of our young lady who was on our podcast a couple of weeks ago, Madam Uplift, and she had this article about the word "but." And so a lot of times, "but" negates what you say before it. But in just that same token, you can say, okay, I don't feel like I can be present with my wife and my children, but I'm going to work towards being better at that. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So,
turning the button to a positive.
Right. And it's something that,
That didn't sound right. I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm listening.
I'm a yes and kind of person, but I hear you saying, Gina. You making the butt BUT work for you.
Making the butt. Stop it.
Put
But
the
I
butt
do.
to work for you. No. All right, that's my last one. We're gonna have some fun.
That was
I
too
love
much. Absolutely. Sorry, Majida. Sorry, Majida.
Yeah. I'm trying to be serious, and y'all all over there joking. Something that you said about emotional health, right? Or we making decisions emotionally. Tie in mental and emotional health, because a lot of times I guess it gets grouped together. What's the difference between the two, or is there a
Great
difference
question.
between mental health and emotional health?
Great question.
Well, I think when you talk about emotional health, you talk about reacting, right? Knee-jerk reactions. You talk about mental health, you talk about responses. So you're taking time to again be mindful, maybe process. If somebody asks you a question, you don't have to give them an answer right then and there. You can say, "Let me think about it. Let me get back to you." And a lot of times we don't because we feel like we got to give an answer out, or we got to answer that phone, or we got to do whatever, and we don't. Like I'm gonna give you an example. I called somebody, a friend of mine, and you can tell they was asleep. They was like, "Hello." I was like, "Hey, you sleep?" They was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Why you answer the phone?" It was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Well, call me back." Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And so they called me. It was like, "Yo, I don't think about that." It was like, "I don't think about that. I don't have to answer the phone." I was like, "No, you don't have to answer the phone."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to answer the phone. And I think a lot, and that was hard for me but now I'm so confident in saying it because sometimes I will look at my phone, like I will call them back and keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, you brought up a lot tonight. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and that goes back to what you all, what Margie was saying about setting boundaries, of saying, okay, I'm allot this time for this person, I'm allot that time, and a lot of times we don't do that because we feel like, it's really a condition thing. You think about it, we work for other people. If we work, if you don't work for yourself, we don't have a mind frame of where you can condition and control those boundaries. So it takes a mind frame of like conditioning yourself to like say, okay, I can control this and manage this. Like I'm the CEO of my own life. Like I cannot answer the phone. I cannot have to run to that person when they call me every time. You know what I'm saying? Like we can control those things. So I just think like, Majida said, just taking control of the things we can control.
Yeah.
I think, man, you bring up that's the drop the mic moment right there. That right there
I got to drop the mic moment.
That's, I mean, you got several.
Yeah, you got a few.
Tonight.
You got a few tonight, honey.
You definitely brought it, man. I think you've enriched each and every one of our lives as well as our audiences. For those who are watching now or watching later,
thank you. Same here.
I already know I'm going to be watching this probably all throughout the week and doing some self-assessing. Something Eric Thomas always talks about is you got to have the ability to self-assess, and working that mental muscle. I lost you, Maurice. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong video. No, having that ability to self-assess, and I think you really dropped the mic there with the conditioning. That many of us are conditioned into this state of mind. I think that's probably the number one thing that causes me the most anxiety is unprogramming or deprogramming my conditioning that I'm not in control of me or my life, right? That somebody else controls, these various aspects of our lives or of my life. And so for those who, watching, listening, I would say if you take nothing else away, recognize, as Z said, so eloquently, that you are the CEO of your life. And if you've never been a CEO, study what that is to have ownership. Study what that means to take personal ownership of everything that you say, everything you do, your time, your boundaries, right? The things that you can control and the things that you can't control.
Right. And look, and I'm gonna have to clear it up because I got that quote from a good friend of mine and a dope podcaster, a guy named Randy Wilson. Man, if you have not heard of Randy Wilson, check out the Randy Wilson podcast. But he's a good friend of mine, mentor, business partner. Like he's actually on the board of Community 5050. And he said that some years ago. He said, you have to be the CEO of your life. And I'm like, what? And just becoming his friend and just I understood what he was saying about just managing your life. Manage what you can. So that wasn't my quote. I had to make sure I gave the person credit.
Perfect. And we appreciate all the time that you spent with us tonight, man. We may keep the conversation going even after, but I know I want to respect everyone's time who's been here with us the first hour. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna
Thank
keep the
y'all.
conversation going, because that's just what we do. But for those that are listening, definitely check out our podcast, Our Story, Our Way. Learn a little bit about the SEER group and how we're bringing this conversation to everyday people, everyday young entrepreneurs, people who are really looking to take ownership of everything that they do. Z, before you go, and like I said, you're welcome to hang out with us for a little longer. What are some resources, right, that people can use to start building that mental muscle and building those strategies, that can help them take better care of their mental health?
Well, one of the things is just YouTube. Everybody on their phone, so you can YouTube like some meditation, guided meditation.
Okay.
For some people it may be hard for them to just listen to music and be quiet or whatever. So you got the guided meditation where somebody is talking you through it. Saying positive affirmations and different things of how to deep breathe. Maybe seeing a therapist. Just trying it out. Maybe just identify somebody that you feel comfortable with. That's your right. You don't have to just go to the first therapist that you find. Find somebody that your personality feel like you can click with, and just taking better care of the things we can, how we're eating, how we're sleeping. What we're putting into our psyche. How much news are we watching? What type of movies are we watching? What books are we reading? What people are we having in our circle? You know what I mean? On a daily. So, just certain things that we can control. I would say some of those strategies. And then, and if all else fails, like I said, definitely, I recommend people to see somebody and, just get that professional opinion and go from there.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people, want to be the professional. I think that's something that we're all conditioned. We've got to be the ones to be able to self-care and self-heal. And, the body and mind does a lot of that for himself. But, whether it's with your personal health, your mental health, your finance, I go to a doctor when I'm sick, right? Or at least I'd like to, I'd prefer to go to a doctor, but maybe there's some areas that we don't see, that we don't, see the value in the same way. So I'm want to echo that point. See a professional, right? It's like trying to be your own lawyer and you don't know law, right? See a professional. We talk about it in finances, we talk about it in business, we talk about it in physical health, and we're echoing it today in mental health. Is recognize that professionals are out there to help you to become stronger, to become better, to become, to have more control, right?
And I'm gonna say this too. When you do see your professional, collaborate with them. Like, don't just let them tell you what they want to tell you. Like, when you go to the doctor, you twist your ankle or you having, shoulder pain or something, you don't just sit there and be like, yeah, my shoulder hurt. And they tell you whatever. You tell them like, well, no, when I do this, or when I do this, or no, when I'm, laying down in the morning, it don't hurt. Like, talk to the professional and say, hey, I'm feeling these, I'm feeling sad around these times. Or like, like you said, in the morning, I notice in the morning time, that's when it's the toughest. Say those things. So it can help that professional better with the treatment. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people think you just go and just sit there and the person's supposed to fix you. No, you gotta like collaborate, open up, and be. That's why it's be vulnerable. That's why it's very important to select somebody that you trust. And it's gonna take time, And you can feel when that person is not being genuine. You can feel. And it's okay to say, no, this is not working for me. You ain't hurting the therapist's feelings. That's your time and money and experience and feelings. So yeah.
That's something that my mentor says all the time. Like he says, I can only help you with the symptoms that you tell me about, and that's in the financial arena, but it's the same way, like you're saying, in mental health. Like if you don't disclose like what you're experiencing, how you're feeling, how it's affecting you, they can't give you the best recommendation. They can't give you, the best diagnosis.
Right.
Definitely great point.
Right.
Oh man. So
yeah, I appreciate you all doing this. This is a good platform. Keep doing it. I salute you. I would definitely
thank you.
Share it, on my platforms. Y'all just, tag me. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Make it what it is.
So Z, where can we find you? Where can we connect you? Can go ahead, put your info out there. Community 50/50. Where can people connect with you in order to gain more information and access to resources about building their mental health, not just in 2020 but beyond?
But definitely the website www.community5050.org. We have links on there. We connect with me, but we have other links on there where people can find therapists. We connect with River City. We collaborate with River City Counseling, a couple of other private agencies. So you can go on there and find those resources. I'm actually in the process of starting my own. It's like a therapeutic mentoring, like connecting networking agency. So like we refer people to different mental health agencies or just different things in the field where people want services. So look out for that soon. Facebook.
Awesome.
We're on. I'm on there as Zenobia Bey, but I don't really do too much business on that Facebook page anymore. So really, just Community 50/50 right now until their website come out.
Awesome.
And then I just dropped the album, so you can check that out. www.zbetapoet.com. I just dropped a single called Taboo. So yeah, that's my art. That's my therapy. I've learned that is how I have peace, and so I've definitely dove into that. Very heavy. Yep.
That .com or .org? On ZBetaPoet.
ZBetaPoet.com.
.com.
Cool.
Yep.
And
awesome.
I want to speak to the fact that, like, I love how throughout this conversation, something that I learned in one of another networking group that I'm a part of, Womb, is that collaboration over competition, and so we can recognize and give credit to, Randy Wilson or to Roscoe Burnhams or to River City, and like there's no feeling of like, oh, they're gonna go see them or I'm gonna lose out on something because I shouted this person out or I gave them, some recognition. And I think that's what I love most about, just the conversation we had today. It's just like we're pulling from all different resources to help each of us and to help, the individuals that are listening get access. Because at the end of the day, like we want what's best for you, like not what's in it for me, but what's best for you, and if what's best for you is not working with me or what's best for you is not working with Z, like that's cool. We just want you to get the help that you need. And I think that's lovely to be able to just, hey, there's some other people, there's some other resources, there's somebody else that you may connect better with who can, help you and understand that we don't have all the answers either. Like there are people that we go to and resources that we have access to help us get to where we are. And so the access that I've gotten, look, you're open to my network. You're open to Maya Lynn. You're open to a Zenobia Bey. Like these are the people who've helped me become who I am. And so connect with them, and see how they can possibly help you. So I just wanted to make that point.
That's good. That's good business. That's good business health and good business practice. So yeah.
Well, she's been working on that for.
You have a great platform.
Well, she's been working on that for a number of years, man. Margita's been a professional not only in her career but also in her businesses for a long time, and I think I've learned so much just by being around her and the people that she's introduced me to. That's turned me into a better business professional and entrepreneur. And I know I still got a long way to go. But this is what it's all about. I mean, this is what we do here in SEER. This is what we do as a family, as a community, is we want to bring people together to the resources that can help them get where they want to go. So whether that, I'll be honest, I said this earlier when I was talking with them, man, I was a little intimidated by this conversation. It didn't depress me, but I was like, man, I don't know what I know or don't know about mental health in this discussion, but you definitely helped to affirm some things and definitely open my eyes and my mind up to some other things as well, that I got to go back, do my homework and study this week as well. So I appreciate, each and every one of you for being on here. Maurice, any final thoughts, any closing remarks?
No, man. Well, I'll give you a little something, but not really. Again, this mental health thing. This is somebody with the way the world is now. It's like you can look at the mental health thing from an extreme perspective if you want to, right? But when you look at it from a less extreme perspective, a lot of us are dealing with things. A lot of us, like, you got to be Iron Man to not be feeling some form of anxiety. Like, I wear a Superman ring. You know what I mean? I'm a pretty strong guy, but I still deal with anxiety and all of that good stuff. So, but I mean, I'm
Iron
not
Man
afraid.
had all kinds of anxiety.
Absolutely. And I think this is good that we I think this is good to not be afraid to come on and talk about it, because it's something that, again, we started off the show with this. In our community, it's one of those things that doesn't very get talked about much. It's one of those things that's taboo. It's one of those things that people think about, to me, in a wrong perspective. But all we've been talking about here this whole time is just positive thinking and how to control your emotions, essentially, right? You can't think any kind of way you want to and think that things are going to come the way that you need them to come. You got to be very deliberate about the way that you're thinking and about the way that you're allowing yourself to feel in a world that's full of distractions. So I think that's the beautiful thing about what Zenobia brought to the conversation, right? It's just really just like you said, we think emotionally, but everything you talked about was very logical steps. It just makes sense. The world is full of distractions. You got a lot of things going on in your life, that wasn't happening just a few months ago. And so, again, you got to be deliberate about the way that you think and about the way that you allow yourself to feel, because that's the starting point of, that's what's going to cause you to act in a certain way. So right. I appreciate you coming on, Zenobia, and
thank y'all for having me.
Helping us to get our mind right, helping me to get my mind right, helping me to keep my mental health. I most certainly appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
I just want to say
namaste. How you say it, Yasmin? Namaste. Something, I don't know.
Namaste.
Something like that.
Yeah, I just want to say two things. To that point, a lot of information shared tonight. Take action on something, right? Like, do something to help move you forward. Don't just receive this information, be like, oh, that was good information. Oh, we had a good conversation. And then, like, tomorrow, nothing changes. Or tonight, you're not, like, pondering on, like, or self-assessing, whether there's something that you can do. Like, take immediate action, even if it's something small. Like, all right, let me find a YouTube video for guided meditation. That's something small that you can do. So at least to get you moving in that direction. And then we definitely got to have a part two, man. We gotta bring
you back. Read my mind.
We got to bring her back, and go a little bit deeper. I definitely think it's, we kind of touched the surface today, kind of right. Get some general knowledge about mental health. But, strategy is like super important, right? Like strategically mapping out how am I going to get to where I need to be, right? Yes, maybe starting to see a counselor will help. But then also, like, what are some routines, maybe giving some very practical things that you could do. I know what she shared, of course, the morning routine, we've heard that from a mentor in our business as well. Like, you'd be surprised, like, how that phone becomes a trigger. Like, it triggers and it starts the anxiety before you have a chance to start to respond. Like, you start the day off reacting and you finish the day reacting. So your whole day is reacting to outside engagement. And so simply implementing little things like that can help you to start to shift, in the direction that you really want to go in. So I definitely appreciate, you for coming on again, Z, and definitely sharing those resources with us.
For sure.
And yeah, let's all do a checkup from the neck up, I think that's
check the neck up like that. I would like to come back and I would like to go deeper into like child anxiety, like childhood anxiety, and how a lot of anxiety in adults, why it's so prevalent, because a lot of it starts from learn behavior. Just from our environment as a child, and things that was put on us, or expectations or traumatic events or whatever, and then we just never learn how to adapt. You know what I mean? We just grew into it, and again, it became normal. You grew up in a household with people hollering. That was normal, but you like, hold on, man, you don't have to holler to get a point across. You know what I mean?
That ain't normal.
But that ain't normal. But if you grew up in a household that's normal, that was normal. You know what I mean? So yeah. But yeah, I would definitely love to tap into that. But I appreciate you all. Y'all have a good night and keep doing what y'all doing. I'm gonna say peace to y'all.
All right.
Absolutely.
Peace. Thank you so much.
Peace.
Thank you so much.
We closing out right now too?
Oh no, man, I'm still here. I know y'all got some thoughts. We can close it off. We can cut it off here. You can shut off the live. Thank you guys.
Facebook, we out. We see y'all in 2 weeks. Next, not next Friday, but Friday after this. 2 Fridays from now, we'll be back on 10:30. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. All right.
Oh, the next conversation is investing in yourself.
The next conversation is investing in yourself. Thanks for telling us.
I love it.
I'm sorry. Right, yeah.
No, she's always been right on time with that, right? It just comes to her at the right time, and then I write it down, and I'm saying, okay, this is what we're talking about, and I can start preparing.
I got up to 15 topics, right? So I got it ready right here. I got it ready.
Stay present. Stay present. No, but stay prepared. I love it.
Right, that was my cue. There was a cue, and then that was a trigger, right? It was a cue, the habit loop, right? Cue, trigger, and then my response, right? So yeah, cue was like, they need to know what's coming up next. Invest yourself, right? So yeah.
I love it. And that's so fun. That's powerful because I think we work together really well as a team when it comes to just being able to share and do what we do well naturally, right? I think that's what makes this work because we do what we do well naturally. Hey, Yvette, I see you over there in the chat. No, there is no normal. We tend to compare things to a normal. We know what doesn't feel right and causes us worry and anxiety. Awesome feedback. Awesome feedback. So, Maurice, looking forward to this conversation on investing in yourself. Go ahead. Yeah, you could end the live.
Yeah. We out, y'all. We just bugging out. Investing in yourself 2 weeks from now. Don't miss it, all right?